Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for those of you watching or listening to this online videocast around the U.S. and frankly around the world. This is your attorney Daniel Huang from Blue Corner Law with a new episode exploring immigration process in the United States. Today, I would like to discuss immigration by discussing cases. Okay, sample cases from the law firm. This actually was suggested by several of you, the viewers, and also from our clients after watching my last video. So, you know what? I agree. I agree that I should talk about a sample cases because it might be something that might be similar to you or to your family case. And one of the reasons that I decided to do a case discussion is that since January 2021 I've been talking about the immigration news update, and I think I did it for weekly, and it looks like there isn't really much moving at all with the proposed immigration bill by the President Biden. And I kind of expected that because it's really hard to ram everything through at one time, especially when this bill is very ambitious. I've been talking about this throughout my video that maybe they're thinking about taking this immigration bill into pieces. Maybe do the DACA first and maybe DAPA. Those of you who doesn't know what DAPA is, back in Obama era, they were going to have DACA and also for the parents who has a DACA recipient. So that was called DAPA before. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, so let me just go ahead and introduce several cases and talk about some things that we have done with these cases. All right, so obviously I am not going to use the real name. All right, and I think today I'm going to be using a case of Mr. X. All right, Mr. X. That's all I'm going to do today. Okay. All right, so let's talk about Mr. X and his case, a little bit of his background. Mr. X actually was very excited when I told him that I'm going to be talking about his case for a new episode. And he was very excited actually because of the new President Biden's new proposal. It's because he's no longer have to, watch his back every time he goes out to work or go shopping, because Mr. X, was detained by ICE Immigration because he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. All right. So what he did was he got picked up on the way to work. Okay, and back in 2017. All right, 2017. Apparently, the ICE officers were looking for someone else. And since they could not locate the person on the list, they decided to arrest Mr. X, right? And back in the days, that's what they did, and it is called the collateral. Okay, so he became a collateral arrest. All right. Now, don't get me wrong. I just want to tell my viewers that I have no personal ill against the officers, the men and women working for the Immigration and Custom Enforcement Agency. Most officers that I deal with or work with, they're very professional. All right. In my 15 plus years, I really didn't have any problem with working with them. They're just doing their job, and I blame the people at the top who's making a very bad policy. All right. So I just want to let you know that before we continue with Mr. X. All right. So when Mr. X was detained by ICE agents, he obviously was detained, arrested, and he was sent to one of those temporary holding place. In this case, it was in Prosperity Avenue, in where the USCIS is located, the field office. There's actually a agency used by ICE in the basement, and most people, they do go there as a temporary holding place, and that's where you have I guess the interview. But fortunately for Mr. X, he did not have any previous deportation order. He did not have any criminal record, meaning that he was not really a danger to the community, which was good. All right. So he was briefly detained, interviewed, fingerprinted, and he was released. Okay, he was released with a notice to appear, which is also known as the NTA. All right. Now, in hindsight, looking back, thinking about how he was released after getting detained, he was very fortunate. Not many people could say that hey, I got lucky. I was released after a brief detention. Right? Not most people. They do go into detention center, right? And depending on their situation, most likely they will have to get a immigration bond with the immigration judge. But for Mr. X, he was able to be released on that same day. Now, the reason that he was released, I'm just speculating, is because probably he was married to an American citizen spouse with having 3 United States citizen born children, right? And also, sometimes, okay, not all the time, sometimes, they ran out of bed spaces. They don't have any places to put, the person, all right? If that's the case, then, they do look at people, whether or not if this person is a flight risk or a danger to the community, and they will go ahead and depending on the discretion, they will release the person. Now, he was released, and in 2018, he was given a master calendar hearing, which is a status hearing. So so we went to court in Arlington Immigration Court, right? So I appeared with Mr. X, and during the master calendar hearing, we admitted we had to do the pleading. As you know, when you go in there, you have to plead whether or not the allegation on the notice to appear is true or not. We have an opportunity to deny or admit. Now, on behalf of Mr. X, we did admit that he was not a citizen or national of the United States. Okay, so we admitted that. Number 2, we did admit that he did enter the United States without any inspection, okay, through the border. All right, I believe he crossed the border in McAllen, Texas, so we admitted that. All right, and also we admitted that he is removable as charged. All right, but we did admit those allegations, but at the same time, we did identify that he is eligible for several immigration relief. Now, number 1, the relief that we submitted was an asylum application. Now, based on Mr. X's sworn testimony or affidavit, he did had a fear of going back to his country. Okay, and I'm not going to tell you which one, but you could guess. It's one of those country located in Central America. And at the time when he was coming in, he was fleeing from gang violence, right? And he was targeted as a person, so he was pretty much afraid to going back home. So that's what he wrote on the affidavit. Okay, so we were able to file the application called asylum application, the form I-589, with his sworn statement, right, and supporting documents. Okay, now the other relief that we were able to identify for Mr. X was the cancellation of removal as a non-permanent resident. Okay, we were able to file this application based on the fact that he has a qualifying relative, which was in this case was the spouse, a United States citizen spouse, and 3 United citizen born children. Okay. So bare minimum, we were able to identify he has a qualifying relatives, and also he was in the United States more than 10 years prior to receiving his notice to appear. Okay, so those are the 2 things we were able to identify. Now, even before we went to court for Mr. X, okay, the other option that we were able to do was, because Mr. X's spouse is American citizen, we were able to file an I-130 130, a petition for alien relative before before United States Citizenship Service. Now, the reason that we filed the petition is to let the judge know that he does have another option. If nothing pan out with the court, that at the end of the court proceeding, we may be able to ask the judge to have him go back out and come back in with filing a waiver, which is called the waiver application I-601A waiver application, which we could file now prior to leaving the United States upon the approval of this waiver. All right. So right now, today the episodes, I am not going to talk about the petition I-130 or the cancellation or the asylum, specifically, because those are the things I will talk about in the future. But that's what we did. We identified. Okay, what I want to stress today is we identify possible relief for Mr. X. Okay, and we were able to submit the application the first day of his master calendar hearing. Now, after we did that, the immigration judge, gave us a final hearing date. It's a trial date. It's called individual merits hearing. Now, what happened was, don't laugh, he gave us the hearing in mid-2020. All right? Fast forward. Okay, let's fast forward. 2020. What happened back in 2020? I mean, it's not too long ago, last year. Yes, that's right. COVID-19 happened. The pandemic happened. So all the courts, including Mr. X's court, has been canceled. Okay, and it's not even on the docket yet. Okay, so what happens? If you tune in, I will let you know what we're going to be doing after the pandemic for Mr. X's case. I'm going to be talking about the positive impact and also the negative impact as a result of this pandemic. Okay, so I will see you next week, and stay tuned. It's going to be very interesting what's going to happen. All right, thank you. See you later. Bye.